Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. My name is Joanne Martin, and I live in South Beaver Township. And I'm honored to be representing all of you who have contributed to reimagining our home. Before the fun, let me start with some formalities. And are there any people that want to be recognized here? I'm not the best person to, or if somebody just wants to mention that they're here, special leaders or anybody? Or everybody wants to be incognito, and that's fine too.
But there are a few people.
Do you know, somebody you want to mention that's here?
Yes, I'm with the League of Women Voters, and so we always recognize elected and community leaders. So I'd like to thank Mario Leone Jr., the borough manager of Monaca, for coming, and Rebecca Matsko, the Potter Township Supervisor. And from Governor Wolf's office, the new director of Governor Wolf's Southwest PA office, Jessica Walls-Lavelle. And if there are any, and great, thank you. Anybody else? All right, thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have several exciting speakers to hear from tonight, so I'm going to be rather brief, I guess. And we will have time for questions afterwards, but if we could wait until everybody has given their presentation, and then we'll have questions at the very end, that'd be appreciated. So yes, we are excited after many months of work to be sharing this report, which captures the great ideas of community residents. And the highlight of tonight is really not what we're offering in this report, but I'd like to just emphasize it's really to honor what all of the contributors brought forth in this project. Their passion and their creative ideas for reimagining Beaver County. And this has truly been a grassroots effort. Heather is going to say a little bit more about the visioning process and how this came about. But briefly, great sustainable business ideas blended together with some research done by sustainability graduate students led to this report. And the idea coming out of the report of creating a green economy task force in Beaver County. This was a clear message from these contributors, these visionaries as I call them, that what they said and felt from all these sessions was that a green economy is the path to diverse, equitable, and sustainable community and economic development. Clean energy initiatives are beginning to dominate planning strategies around the world, certainly here in this country. And during the visioning sessions, many residents expressed great concern that Beaver County decided to pursue the plastics industry, an industry that's now coming under tremendous scrutiny. So I think everyone would agree that the county needs a diversified base of business. And with emerging crises related to climate change, there are development choices that are more climate positive and that are sustainable over a long period of time. Looking at the industrial legacy of Beaver County, some view this area as a sacrifice zone. And Beaver County is every bit as beautiful and valuable as the Delaware Valley River Basin, and this is an area that Governor Wolf just recently vowed to protect with a full ban on fracking. So a green economy task force could bring together residents, business people, and county leadership in clarifying county values such as how does the region want to define itself, and what assets of the county are most valued, and how will these manifest in industry choices? And those are just two really important questions to get at values and beliefs for this region. This report asks for a greener lens on this region and to reimagine a better future, one that reflects a stronger emphasis on the environment and provides much needed jobs. And in addition to our neighbor, and I don't know if Lou Hantrick is here tonight, he couldn't come, okay. He represents Reimagine Butler County. And I recently learned that this strategy that we put in force here is being replicated as a model for some other areas around the country, including Reimagine Appalachia and a group in Louisiana that are calling themselves Reimagine Louisiana. So feels like there's something maybe rolling here that's kind of cool. So just finally, what I would say is if we set goals and objectives for a green economy and put our resources in this direction, the natural evolution of business development is that benefits will flow to our communities. Jobs will be created, and the environment will be central in all this planning, and the county's future will be more resilient. So creating a Beaver County Green Economy Task Force can set this in motion. So thank you. I'm going to pass to Heather, who's going to talk a little bit about the visioning process and introduce you to the work more deeply.
Thank you, Joanne. As part of its educational and civic engagement work, the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania is helping communities learn about sustainable economic development and sustainable jobs. We are engaging the public in planning and helping communities put together and implement sustainable economic development strategies and projects. We're particularly interested in working with the counties surrounding Allegheny County. The city of Pittsburgh has a number of sustainable development projects with its Green Conference Center and its many bike paths. But this is less true of the more rural counties, many of which have been abandoned by heavy industry and are experiencing economic distress. Using a visioning methodology of public participation, League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania worked with Joanne and with other members of the Beaver County community. Reimagine Beaver County launched with a public visioning session held at First Presbyterian on March 6, 2017. Nearly 70 people participated in this visioning session. The evening began with some short presentations about current sustainable initiatives in Beaver County. We heard from Borough Manager Mario Leone Jr., who's here, about money-saving renewable energy initiatives in Monaca. We heard about solar installations, about Beaver County municipalities working to be certified as sustainable, about sustainable agriculture, and about the Blue-Green Alliance bringing together labor and sustainability. Then people had small group discussions around their tables, and each table had a blank map of Beaver County. And there's some on the table tonight. You can add your own ideas. But people were asked, what types of sustainable development would you like to see in Beaver County? And they wrote down their ideas on Post-its and stuck them on the maps. People were very engaged. There was happiness in the room. There was lots of enthusiasm as each table reported out its ideas. And in the Reimagine Beaver County report, and they're on that table with the League of Women Voters banner there, so please take one tonight, and we can also make it available to you digitally or to your friends or others that you'd like to see. So in the report that we are handing out today, you can see in the appendix photos of each table's map with their Post-its, plus discussion notes from each table taken by League members and other table facilitators. And on page 5 of the report is a link to a YouTube video of the highlights of this visioning session. An analysis of the notes from the night yielded 4 different focus areas: energy innovation, green chemistry and manufacturing, sustainable agriculture, and riverfront recreation and tourism. In the Reimagine Beaver County report, you can see a suggestion for a catalytic project for each of these 4 areas. For energy innovation, on page 7, there is a solar park and ride, which is a nod to the need expressed in the visioning session for better connections to mass transit in Beaver County, between towns and to get to Pittsburgh. For green chemistry and manufacturing, on page 9, you can see a rendering of an eco-industrial park. And these could be located on brownfields in Midland, Monaca, and Aliquippa, for example. Now, one of the things that participants were brainstorming about that night was how to keep the young people in Beaver County, not to have them all leave. How do you keep them here? And one of the things they came up with was looking at young people who want to be farmers, like the farming population is aging and it needs to be replaced. And so one of the catalytic projects is to have farmer training programs that bring together the high schools, colleges, farmers, and youth. And farming product incubators and industrial kitchens can provide young people with entrepreneurial training and experience. And for riverfront development, page 13 shows a restoration of Logstown Run in Aliquippa. This would alleviate stormwater management issues and reconnect Aliquippa to the natural hydrologic system. Volunteers could help with plantings and stream bed restoration. Add in a floating kayak launch or an elevated bike path and create an attraction for ecotourism. So we've seen how diverse the strategies. It's not all just windmills and solar arrays, although those are very important, and we're going to celebrate solar later during our solar happy hour. But it's really a diversity, a big wealth of ideas, and these can really make things positive for communities economically, not only to be sustainable environmentally, but to be sustainable economically as well. And I was reading last night, and I saw that actually the state of Washington State, which is following climate-conscious strategies, is the state with the highest rate of GDP growth in the country. So it can be a winner to do this. Thanks.
Thank you, Heather. So now we have some of our local people that, and some people that came a little further distance away. But these are some of the actual projects, things that are happening that we wanted to spotlight tonight. So we have some special speakers, and I'm going to let Daniel introduce himself, and then I'm going to let each speaker really just introduce themselves. But just, and again, we're going to have time for questions afterwards, but if you would just wait until after everybody speaks. Daniel? Yeah, thank you.
All right, hi there. Hi there. I know it's mid-afternoon. Sorry, I'm not checking my email. I'm trying to get my notes up. You should see these eloquent ladies up here. They've got these beautiful outlines and prepared comments, and I have this. So hopefully that won't be a liability. But my name is Daniel Rossi Keene, and I am super excited to be here, honored actually, to be a part of this gathering. I was not part of the original envisioning process because there were some things that we were still starting and ways we were still organizing in parallel in many ways to the work you all are doing. But I'm excited to be kind of drug along midstream, I guess you would say, willingly to be sure. I am the executive director of an organization called Riverwise. Riverwise is a nonprofit project of the Beaver County Partnership for Community and Economic Growth. We are generously supported by the Henry L. Hillman Foundation, and they have gotten behind our work in Beaver County in generous and really exciting kinds of ways, and so we're certainly thankful for that. Our mission at Riverwise aligns in many ways with the spirit of what you hear about in the report that's being referenced here today. So we are deeply interested in getting residents connected once again to the vital resource that are our county's rivers. We're not only interested in getting folks connected to the rivers, we're also interested in getting folks connected to one another as they get connected to our rivers. So we think that we actually have a tremendous opportunity in Beaver County to organize around our rivers, to develop a regional identity, and really at the core of that is a provocation of civic engagement. All right, our goal is often to agitate, to encourage, to motivate, to provoke a kind of civic engagement that in many parts of our, really our world has kind of gone dormant. And so we're excited to be doing that in a number of different ways. Specifically, what does that mean? This means that Riverwise has been organizing over the course of the last year to establish 3 eco-district communities in Beaver County, one in Beaver Falls, one in Mario's backyard in Monaca, and a third in Aliquippa. Shout out to Herb back there. We are working diligently to organize folks to think about the kinds of themes and issues that Reimagine has long been wrestling with. Additionally, we're working to connect folks to infrastructure along our rivers, to organize events and opportunities for folks to actually move toward and even into this thing that is our river. So a real impulse toward reconnecting with the wonderful assets that course through our backyards. I'd like you just to step back and remind yourself what you're hearing here today. And this is a nod to the great work you all are doing. We're talking about eco parks and green infrastructure and green chemistry. This is a dreaming process, right? I mean, I love the impulse towards reimagination. We often think that once we turn 11 or 12 or something like that, imagination is no longer part of our lexicon. And Reimagine Beaver County rebels against that notion in a really virtuous kind of way. Reimagination is part of the human spirit. It's a part of what we're called to do as citizens who inhabit space together, who live together, who have responsibility for one another. There's a stewardship motif in that call to reimagination. And I'm so excited to be a part of that story with you all. We say at Riverwise that our call is to dream, to learn, and to collaborate. To dream, to learn, and to collaborate. And I think this document that you all have put together today is a demonstration piece for what dreaming can look like as we come together as a region. So thank you for honoring Riverwise and asking us to be a part of this. We look forward to partnering more and more, and I would exhort all of you to get behind the exciting things that are happening through this initiative. Thanks.
I'm just going to pass it right to Renee and let you introduce yourself. Yeah.
Hi, I am Renee Sewer, and my first love and business is Stray Cat Studio. You might know of this little pottery studio in Beaver Falls, the little pottery studio that could. And we have been there for about 6 years now, and we are actually staying in business. How about that? So, thanks. So we have worked really hard to bring arts and culture and beauty into the narrative in our beloved Beaver Falls. But that also led us to grow, and we quickly outgrew the space we were in, and so we looked to some other ways to expand. Long story short, we ended up finding a triple lot right smack dab in the middle of Beaver Falls. And I like to say it was like filling in the missing tooth of the smile. So if you imagine a core business district, and right in the center is a big dark hole, it doesn't do anything for your business district, right? So we were able to, we've been in the process of doing plans for this building that will be called the Portobello Building. The company that will build that is called Mycelia Development. Let me tell you a little bit about why it's named that, because we're actually very inspired by this metaphor. Mycelia are the root structure of mushrooms, and this is probably a crowd that already knew that, which is really fun because most people say, why did you name it that? But mushrooms are fascinating little creatures. The mycelia, the root structure, can be underneath the ground for 50 years at a time, and no sign of mushrooms anywhere, no fruit anywhere. But as the literature says, when the time is right, this fruit starts to pop up everywhere. And I think that's a great metaphor of what Beaver Falls is. The time is right. The city council has been working hard, the county has been working hard, the businesses have been working hard, the schools, there's so much energy and passion and conversation around other ways of doing things that are much more imaginative and have been laying the groundwork. And so in the midst of that, this fruit comes up. And so I'll get to that in a minute, what's going to be in this Portobello building. But one other thing I'd like to leave you with about mushrooms is that they're always committed to the benefit of their host environment. which I love. So as a parasite, technically, you're usually taking, but this is only giving. And so that felt like, yeah, that's the kind of development company we want to be. When we enter a town or a project, we only want to give back to the town and be a part of what's already happening there and build on the strengths that are already there. So in that building will be, and I have a couple representatives here today, we will have a theater/event space. Stray Cat Studio will move its pottery studio into that, so we'll have an expanded pottery studio, an expanded retail shop, and I'll have my three managers from those three areas raise their hands if they don't mind. So in case you have questions about the retail, the pottery, or the theater event space, you can talk with them afterward. I really invite you to do so. And then a gallery, so that we can have some upscale shows and some real art in the building that can be locked and that kind of thing. But the real purpose of that building is to bring cultural life and arts back to the city. Now we're not thinking of highfalutin things. Now we'll have amazing shows in there, and we'll have amazing events in the theater and the event space, but the idea is to really put the programming back in the hands of people who live in Beaver Falls or Beaver County or surrounding areas. So if you would like to use our building, you simply rent the space and have an RC industrial kind of look, and you can come in and have your event there. Now, why am I here at Reimagine? Okay, it's a nice building, it's going in Beaver Falls. Well, this happens to be, and ambitiously so, but we will be the first green building in Beaver County. And, well, thanks. We've been really excited about this for a long time. I can't tell you, that just feels really good to have you actually applaud that, because it's been very hard to get people to understand what that means. It's a really big win for the county. It's a really big win for Beaver Falls, because we will finally have a showpiece of why buildings matter, why structures matter, why air quality inside and outside matters, why stormwater collection matters. So I don't have much more time, but I'm going to leave you with a couple things. Oh, timeline, I'll just tell you about this. We will break ground, so we're in the design phase right now. If you know anything about the architectural phases, we are in design development, and that means we're heavy into designing what products we'll be using that are all green products, how we do stormwater runoff, what kind of HVAC systems we put in there that are energy conservation oriented, how we reclaim the heat from those kilns, can we use that storm water to wash the floors of our pottery studio, all kinds of really interesting things that'll be happening. So we will be breaking ground in March 2020, so we're less than a year away from that, and then we will be open hopefully a year after, and we are booking now for the summer of 2021. So pretty exciting stuff. So I'm going to leave you with 4 things that I want you to come up and ask me about, or any one of these ladies that are with me. And Clark, too, I didn't introduce you. My project manager is in the flowered shirt in the back. She's the one who keeps the ship afloat for the actual building. It's pretty amazing. But why Pittsburgh CLO? This is the first question you can ask us. Why would Pittsburgh CLO sign on to put a program, an academy, the only other one that is not in Pittsburgh, so they have one in Pittsburgh, and they are now doing one, CLO North, with us in the Portobello building. You can ask me about that. Ask me about Building Hope and why Judge Jimmy Ross thinks that we're a great project to have Beaver Falls and other Aliquippa seniors come onto our project and learn the trades so that they have some alternatives other than going to college if that's just not their thing, and why that's a good fit for a green building and a green site. Ask me about our field trips. Ask me about why we're going to parade tons and tons of little people through our building and into our pottery studio and into our cafe for lunch, and why we're going to talk to them about all the good things that can happen when you think green, and why college students are going to be interested in touring our building, and Geneva students who are right up the road can use that as an engineering project and opportunities to learn about things that they really only can see in their textbooks or online right now, but we'll have living examples. You can ask me about that. And then finally, why this building is worth investing money in. I think it's a great opportunity to put your name on something, to put your mark on something for the future. We would really like to make this building a wow kind of experience, so that when people do come through, they don't just understand that the air quality and the water is better, but that they can see a green roof, that they can experience all these things that just take a little bit more money in the upstart. So we are very open to talking with investors and contributors. So thank you so much again to the great work of Reimagine. This is not our first meeting. My husband and I kind of sat in the back and helped put some of those sticky notes on, so we're really excited about the work you're doing. This is great stuff, so thank you so much.
And now we have Connor Mulvaney, who is one of the original founders of Reimagine. He's one of the authors of the report, and he's a graduate student. And I'm going to let him say a little bit more about himself, and then he's going to talk a little bit about some interesting things.
Thank you, Joanne. I'll keep my comments pretty short so that I don't sort of go over some of the things that Joanne and Heather had already said. But to reintroduce myself, I'm Connor Mulvaney, one of the authors of the report that hopefully everybody picked up. I'm a Master's of Sustainability student at Chatham University at the Gibsonia campus. Beautiful campus if nobody has ever been there, and especially if you're interested in green buildings, I highly recommend it. Up at school, I'm also working in the sustainability office. I also work with our K-12 program, bringing in students from high schools far and wide and teaching them about all sorts of aspects of sustainability, from aquaponics to sustainable agriculture to green buildings. We try to cover all the bases up at Eden Hall. So as a 26-year-old lifetime resident of the area, I'm originally from Coraopolis, right up the street. I've already watched this region undergo a whole lot of change. And I'm 26 years old, right? And there's plenty of people who have watched this region change much more than I have in their lifetimes, right? The region in the world that we live in is constantly changing. So part of what we hope with this report is that Reimagine Beaver County can anticipate and capitalize on some of that change, so that we not only remain economically competitive, but also build a new legacy of resilience, and not only for ourselves, but for future generations as well. And it's not only about, seventh generations, but it's about my little cousins, or, if you have sons or daughters. Future generations will benefit from us thinking about them now. So the vision outlined here today also hopes to build communities of the future, where Beaver County's school children and young scholars become tomorrow's business leaders and laborers right here where they grew up. Someone in a conversation earlier today had talked about how people from Pittsburgh always seem to come back around to Pittsburgh. And that's true, especially now that our region is experiencing so much new growth. But what if we could close that gap? What if people don't have to leave? What can our communities look like when we don't have to, bleed ourselves of our young people every few years for them to only come back? How much stronger can we be? But here and now, we have to lay a foundation of opportunity for those coming generations and do our best to ensure an environment that's responsive to all the needs of our communities and those that live in it.
Thank you. Thank you, Connor. Thank you. So Sharon Pillar is going to talk to us kind of about the practical aspects. And I'll let you go into that detail. But thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Joanne. Well, I'm just wowed to be here, and I've been sitting on the sidelines watching what you're all doing and excited to hear the results of it. Thank you for what you're doing. It's really important in the whole scheme of things. As Joanne said, I'm Sharon Pillar. I wear multiple hats. I'm a clean energy consultant, but I work mostly with nonprofit organizations in the public policy space. But I'm also starting the Pennsylvania Solar Center to help primarily nonprofits and businesses go solar and provide resources across our state for solar energy. And obviously, I think solar is a little symbolic, and you're having the solar celebration, which is great. And the thing that I love about solar, that it, to me, symbolizes really what you're doing in essence here. There's this hope for moving into this clean energy economy, which means we're talking about our communities and how we're just that's reimagining itself, a whole new energy economy that is really relatively new in the last 10 years. So it's providing that, it's looking at health of communities, but it's also really, this is economic development driven in a big way. So I love to talk about solar, and Henry does too, and he's going to follow me up, so I won't do too much of that. But I do want to point out that's the biggest myth we hear, is that solar doesn't work in cloudy western Pennsylvania, right? But that is absolutely not true. We know it's not true. You can produce as much energy on a house here in western Pennsylvania as you can in Arizona just by adding a couple more solar collectors. That's what they're doing, collecting all those photons, and we can produce as much energy here. So Pennsylvania, in your mind, just guess how many solar systems we might have in our state. I'll just let you do that in your mind. You don't have to shout it out. But if you said 25,000, that's how many solar systems we have in Pennsylvania right now as of today. I just checked. In Beaver County, we have almost 300 systems right here in this county. And Beaver County has the largest solar system, ground-mount system, in western Pennsylvania. And I know a lot of you might have seen it right up the road at Eaton Corporation. So I just want to compare, but it sounds like we have a lot, 25,000, but this economy, clean energy economy, is growing so fast that we are really falling behind in Pennsylvania. So we have an opportunity to catch up, and in that's where the economic development opportunities lie. So we look at Pennsylvania, that has a goal of 0.5% of solar by 2021. 8% goal for renewable energy overall was awesome in 2004, but that's light years away from where we are today, where we see New Jersey and Maryland, New York going to 50% and beyond that in their goals. So we're just a little bit dragging our feet. So I'll just put a plug. There's two bills, Senate Bill 600 and House Bill 1195. So call your legislators if you want to see more renewable energy in Pennsylvania, yes. And I just want to compare our 25,000 solar systems is about 400 megawatts of energy here in Pennsylvania. However, in Ontario, where we don't think there's a lot of sun, they have 2,300 megawatts of solar. So they've committed to this goal, and they're going like just in the same speed as California. So this is what's potential we have here. And speaking of Eaton, I want to jump into the economic development around jobs. So in the other hat I wear is working as a Pennsylvania consultant for environmental entrepreneurs, or E2. And E2 does these clean jobs energy reports every year. For the last 5 years, we've seen a 6% growth in the clean energy economy in that sector. What the heck is that? We're looking at jobs, people who are working in energy efficiency, in renewable energy, who are working in clean transportation and electric vehicles, who are working in smart grids. We have a really old infrastructure here that needs to be updated. Lots of opportunities for jobs in all these sectors. So Eaton is one of the biggest clean energy employers here, obviously in Beaver County and in western Pennsylvania as well. We have 1,600 people working in this economy making electrical components. Now, they're not all devoted to the clean energy economy, but there are a lot of them. So this is a potential that we have, and they're a great example. But in Pennsylvania last year, over 86,000 people working in the clean energy economy in Pennsylvania. Mostly largely in energy efficiency, and that's installing HVAC systems, green buildings, high performance buildings like you're talking about. Those are tremendous opportunities for jobs. The fastest growing job in America is solar installer. Second is wind turbine technician. This is what's happening around our country, and what we are kind of falling a little bit behind here. So the fact that you're visioning this, you are sharing that vision around the world with that to get there. So I just want to applaud what you're doing and lift up the potential. The new report's coming out in June, and we do know that's another increase. So we're looking forward to doing that. So keep doing what you're doing. It's hard work. It's tough for people to reimagine. We're humans stuck in and doing the things that we always do, right? So what you're doing is presenting something that's and when people see it, they're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. So thank you for what you're doing, and keep doing more of it.
Thank you, Sharon. Just a 2-second notification. Food will be coming very shortly. We have 2 more speakers, and I just wanted to let you know that there are some chairs over here if anybody feels like they want to sit down, and just over on the other side of the room. So Henry, please.
Thank you. I have to go after the food announcement now. I'm sure you're all going to be paying really close attention. So my name is Henry McKay. I'm the Pennsylvania Program Director of a nonprofit organization called Solar United Neighbors. We are a national nonprofit organization, and we are dedicated to helping people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. And we've been working closely with the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania, especially with Heather Haar around Western Pennsylvania. And we run programs to help people go solar, and we found that they're a lot more successful when we can find communities like this who are taking their own future into their own hands, who are building really grassroots, bottom-up ways of envisioning a better future for themselves. And then we can kind of provide them with some tools and knowledge and skills and programming to help accelerate what they're already doing. So we've done this in a few other places in Western Pennsylvania, and we're really excited to be doing this here now. So this spring, with the help of the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania, with Riverwise, Marcellus Outreach Butler, Reimagine Butler County, and the Slippery Rock University Sustainable Enterprise Accelerator, 29 residents from across Beaver and Butler counties have formed what we're calling the Beaver Butler Solar Co-op. Going solar is one of the most powerful ways that a homeowner or a small business can take control of their energy. In the traditional energy system, it's really profit-seeking utilities who decide how energy is generated, where it is generated, and who benefits from it. But just like these Reimagine initiatives are taking this community planning process that traditionally happened under the control of a small number of people, not very representative number of people, not accessible to the public, the kind of smoky backroom community planning model. Rooftop solar can turn that whole paradigm on its head. So when you go solar, that lets you generate clean, affordable electricity on your property, support green jobs, and you're the one that controls how energy is generated, where it's generated, and crucially, who benefits from it. Solar owners enjoy substantial financial savings from their investment as well. This is an increasingly mainstream technology. It's not just people with a lot of money who are doing this purely out of environmental goodwill. It is now people who are doing it because they see it as a good investment. It's a good way to add value to their home. It's a good way to lower their electricity costs and see a financial return over time. In Western Pennsylvania today, a small residential solar installation can generate electricity that is significantly cheaper than what utilities are charging most of their customers. So we have already passed that point of price parity, of grid parity, where solar is now the affordable form of electricity. But given ever-evolving solar technology, available incentives, and complicated energy policies, going solar can still be a daunting task for your typical homeowner. And this is why the Beaver Butler Solar Co-op provides unbiased, nonprofit guidance every step of the way so that members can go solar with confidence and clarity. The co-op also leverages the members' collective buying power to help them select a solar installer and earn a discounted price on an installation through a competitive and open bidding process. Co-op members will actually be meeting this coming Tuesday to review bids and select a solar installer who's going to service the entire co-op and offer a group rate to the entire co-op. So if you are a resident of Beaver or Butler counties and you're curious about going solar, we invite you to join us for the final public info session that's going to be this Thursday, June 6th at 7 p.m. at the Adams Ridge Clubhouse over in Mars. You can also visit us online at solarunitedneighbors.org/beaver-butler to learn more. And I'm also going to have some flyers for this event on June 6th if you're interested in attending out here somewhere. But thank you very much. I'd just like to point out, so Sharon mentioned that the largest solar array in the county is at the Eaton Corporation here, but we also have a representative from the second largest solar array in Beaver County, which is on the North America headquarters of the Felician Sisters of North America.
Now, I am certainly in between you and food, so I'm standing back here where it's safer. My name is Sister Jean Slowinski. I'm the Provincial Sustainability Coordinator for the Felician Sisters of North America, and that covers the United States and Canada. We're in Ontario area, and we're up in the Northwest Territories. In September of 2017, we completed a 2-megawatt solar array project on 6 sites in 5 states, one of which is in Beaver Falls here. That is a 308 kilowatt system. We have 178 panels there. We have 440 on the roof and 738 on the ground. And that produces 85% of the energy that we need in that building. And actually a larger array is in Coraopolis, Pennsylvania, on our provincial grounds. You can't see from the road, you have to go in. And that is a 1,700 panel system. It's a 420 watt kilowatt system. Since the program was monitored, which was in September 2017, across our other sites, which includes Buffalo, New York, Lodi, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois, and 2 areas in near Detroit, Michigan, we've avoided putting 2,757 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And this is my second time in Pennsylvania this month, and I will tell you, you're warmer down here than you are in Buffalo, New York. And as I got past Erie, I saw greener trees and more flowers. So you're doing good down here. And when I checked Beaver County, our output for last year on our solar panels here in Beaver Falls on Mercer Road, actually the highest output was from February to October. And I was kind of surprised to see that February was actually a pretty good output too. I didn't expect that. A little less in the winter. There were some weeks you didn't have any sun, in case you didn't know. But even on cloudy days, yes, you are producing energy. And we made a commitment to try to reduce our carbon footprint. We looked at that seriously, and these solar panels were like our next step. We have solar panel hot water heating in Chicago, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and in Coraopolis. And Coraopolis is also, when we remodeled that building, it's an LEED certified building, and it was one of the first in that area to be so. And in Buffalo, we use geothermal heating and cooling energy. So we're working a little bit with on our carbon footprint. We look at this not only from the standpoint of saving money, but we're also looking at it from our heritage as Franciscans. And you've probably heard of St. Francis, who's the patron of ecology. And he really believed that everything is in relationship. And he called brother sun, sister moon, brother fire, sister earth, and that we're all part of this, and we're all in it together. We're not above it, we're not below it, we are all in relationship, and we need to grow an understanding and of honoring that relationship. So we're looking at this not only for a financial standpoint, but in a renewable energy standpoint, but also as our moral obligation. And in 2015, Pope Francis wrote the encyclical on Care for Our Common Home. If you haven't read it yet, it's not a hard read. It's a great encyclical. It's very well written. It sort of strengthened our resolve. We began our project in 2014, actually. It strengthened our resolve to do it. And one of the things that he does say is that the time to act is now. We can't keep talking, we have to start acting. And that's what's so great about Reimagine Beaver and what's going on in these 2 counties, because it is action. And I congratulate you for that, and we're glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So before the food, you actually have to wait a little longer. We wanted to make some space and time for anybody that might have any questions. So we're gonna start here, and then I'll just, somebody I'm gonna pass this microphone. Do we need to do that? Yeah, okay. Maybe just say your name and where you're from. Yeah. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Clark. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, but I went to college in Pittsburgh. So glad to be here. So I'm working with Renee on the building. But my question is in regards to what I love about this gathering is the reimagining. I think it starts with asking questions. But I have found that as I'm asking questions on behalf of the building, people have never heard some of these questions before. When I call Duquesne Light and I just try to say, can you tell me where your power is coming from? Is the power that's coming into Beaver Falls, is that being produced at the nuclear power plant? Where is that being produced? That's proprietary information. who is this? Why are you calling? What is going on? When we ask questions about stormwater management and sewers and combined sewers, there's a lot of power in asking questions, doing it in the right way. So to the panel, I think that what you're trying to do at the heart is you're asking some questions. And I just wanted to maybe hear some feedback from anyone about tips, because we are trying to make a change. And I think asking questions is a powerful way to do it, but you can hit roadblocks pretty quickly.
Something to say. And then,
Be careful what you say. It might come back to you. Yeah, I mean, Clark, I think it's a great question in and of itself, and I think it's one of the reasons why we've baked into our identity at Riverwise not just dreaming, not just asking questions, but also being willing to learn. Lots of times as community advocates, we ask questions that aren't really questions, they're actually critiques. And I think we're at a place where we have to turn longstanding critiques framed as questions into a willingness to learn in community with others so that we can get to collaboration. Now, some of the instances you brought up are annoying and frustrating, and I get that. But I think in many situations, we're not really all that genuine about doing the hard work of understanding how to answer some of the questions that we ask. And so I hope that we can continue to grow that sensibility together as a region. I think that some of what you all have done in the report is not just the questioning piece, but starting to lay out some of those answers and do the hard work of community education. I don't know how provocative that was, but it was a response.
Yes, so I do know that Duquesne Light, which does service Beaver County, has a program to give grants to do EV charging. So that's something that they're doing that, is a more positive light. And then to answer quickly your question, Greg, is this something you can talk to about where the power comes from? Okay.
I'm not sure I have the exact answer, but it is, I think on the question piece of it, I'll just say the questions that you're asking are new questions, right? So they're not used to it. And I think the more people keep asking those same questions, they're going to say, oh, we need to find the answers. So that's kind of new. You're embarking in a new place, and just appreciating that these people are also going through this change. You're just ahead of them. But on the power piece, it's a little tricky because the power plant is so close to you. The electrons mostly are probably coming from the closest power source. But we're in a grid called PJM grid, which is 13 states and DC. So the power gets dumped into the grid, and then those electrons go everywhere. So even if you're producing solar on your house, you're putting it into the grid. Now those electrons are probably going to your next door neighbor if you're not using them. So it's not an easy question to answer, so I'll just say that.
thank you. This gentleman right here.
My name is Roger Thomas. I'm from Ambridge, Pennsylvania, and I'm the chairman of the Conference of Consumer Organizations, which spans across 23 states. We were commissioned in August of 2011 by the Beaver County Commissioners to do a study on solar power. We brought in a study and looked at the Beaver County Jail, which covers 3 acres of unconditionally flat white roof next to the river. And by the time we made our report, we identified that if we covered that with a solar collector, we could eliminate the $28,000 a month that the jail pays to Duquesne Light. And instead, we could turn it around from a zero balance to a positive output, and we could generate as much power as Mansfield. We also went over to Boone Township, where they have a solid waste disposal plant. We looked at the 3 roofs that they have to offer, and we could zero balance that entire operation with 3 sets of panels. 12 panels each on each of 3 roofs. We could zero balance it. That study was tabled. The payoff was going to be in less than 6 years, and we would then be producing. That was in 2011. We're now in looking at 2020. I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear the question. And if you ask it again, I will still not hear the question. I was then invited again to do the same thing, and I turned in a similar report. I made it in 2016 and handed it over to the Beaver County executive. I don't remember his name. And that also got tabled. 3 acres of solid panels creates as much as Mansfield. I put a solar collector on my roof. My bill to Duquesne Light is now $15 a month. How much is yours?
I think he's asking that question to all of us. So we don't all have to answer that right now. Thank you. Was there another question? Thank you, Roger, for sharing that. Tara.
I'm Tara Alexander, and my question is for Joanne. What are you working on next, tomorrow, next month? What's happening? How can we participate?
Thank you, Tara. We are at a stage right now where we're looking at what specific projects we can support as a group. And part of just coming to know Riverwise and Mycelia Development, what we'd like to set in motion and is inspire some other projects. We have Sierra Club Ready for 100 here. So what I feel like our role right now is we're at this hub of a lot of different things that are happening to support each other and just kind of mobilize things going forward. And that may sound like, a real general answer, but it's an honest one, because we've put so much time into this work that we've done to this point that we're almost now just want to see who's out there, what are you doing, and who can we connect with. So stay tuned, Tara, and thank you for being available to offer support. If I appreciate that. Your name, I know you, and I know your name, Alyssa. Thank you.
So I just learned something from that man in the purple shirt, and maybe if you ask him, he'll remember his name. I learned just now, I think, everybody has to tell me if this is really true, that we could actually produce all the energy that we need if we all tomorrow had solar panels on all the rooftops, say, in southwestern Pennsylvania.
All right, I'm going to answer the question. I want you to take the time. Do I actually need a mic? Yeah. I want you to take the time to go to the county office and talk to Tony Amadeo. And I want you to ask Tony whether or not it would be a good idea to put solar collectors on top of the Beaver County Jail. When you're finished with that, I want you to go and ask the same question to Sandy Yeagley. What I need you to do is think positively. Just let your mind spin. If I can generate that much power on that roof, what would happen if every county building had a solar collector on it? Just let your mind spin. What would happen to your tax base? $20,000 a month for utilities in the jail in 2011. Zero balance that and start outputting as much as I have at Mansfield. Contact your commissioners. I've gone ahead and named them. Contact your commissioners. Find out what's happening.
Thank you. Okay, why don't we just take one more question? And there's a giant bug there. Marcia? And then everybody looks really hungry. Or is that just like me projecting because I'm really hungry?
Hi, this is really just a comment because there's another really important bill that's in committee right now on this community solar bill 531. So 531 community solar, House Bill 531, yeah. And we met with Matsy this morning, Citizens Protect the Ambridge Reservoir, where I'm from. And we met with Representative Matsy this morning, Democrat in Ambridge, and this is in committee right now, but it has to be moved. So I live in the woods, so I can't really get solar PV units on my roof. But a community solar bill would allow a standalone array, and then neighbors can tap right into it. And that's what we need, and right now it's illegal in Pennsylvania. You can't do that. So it's HB 531.
I think Greg wants to add something. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to stress the importance that was just brought up about supporting a community solar bill. Sharon talked about new legislation that's been introduced to expand our requirements in the state for solar energy. It really, really is important to reach out to our local representatives to urge them to support the adoption and the growth of solar energy. We're not quite there where we can put solar, accomplish everyone putting solar on just our individual rooftops and accomplishing getting a total 100% clean energy society. It might have to be on the ground somewhere else. Our rooftops might not be able to accommodate everything. So community solar legislation is great with the other bills that are being introduced. Well,
Yep, announcement.
Not question. Sorry to stand between you and the food again, but Saturday, if anybody wants to know about this, there is an environmental health project program that's going to be held at CCBC. It is free for health professionals. Please spread the word. The title is From Wellhead to Ethane Cracker, Shale Gas, Petrochemicals, and Health. Also, I work for Clean Air Council part-time, and we desperately need leaders in Beaver County for what are called neighbors groups for clean air in southwestern Pennsylvania. If you lead a group like this, you take your group of maybe 10 people or maybe 6 through 9 months of a curriculum that is prepared. You meet 2 hours a month with your group, and it is informational, and you get to meet neighbors and friends or get to know them better, perhaps through these groups. If anyone is interested in that, would you just, and I think this is okay with Nora, put an asterisk by your name on the registration list, and I will talk to you later or email you. Thank you.
Okay, Heather is going to conclude for us.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and for all of you who did participate in the generation of ideas for this process. Please take a report. Please stay in touch. It's reimagine Beaver County at gmail.com. Stay in touch with us. Share your ideas, what you'd like to see happen, and Reimagine Beaver County will be working on helping with specific projects and trying to advance the general agenda forward. So please do, you came out tonight, please continue to be a part of this, and the things you can imagine can come to pass. Also, we can have food. And you'll find in the back is iced tea and lemonade and water, and then also wine and beer. And the performance by Madison Hertwig, who is daughter of one of the Clarks and will be entertaining tonight. And please, we have exhibitors here. We have Greg and Will from Soulbridge will be at a table. We have the Climate Reality Project. Sharon Pillar will talk to her about the PA Solar Center. And Sister Jean, it's so great that we have a solar convent here. What a unique, it's so great. And so please talk with Sister Jean and enjoy the solar happy hour. Be happy. Yeah. Oh, and Lou Hancherik is here. Yeah, from Reimagine Butler. This is great. So Lou was inspired by attending to really be the force to create Reimagine Butler County. And Lou, do you want to announce the 2 upcoming events, or should I? Okay, so on next Thursday, we can keep you busy 3 Thursdays in a row. Next Thursday is the strategic management of energy. It's Greg and Will are organizing this, but And that'll be at the Cranberry Highlands Golf Course, and it is free. You're welcome to attend, and it is particularly if you're a municipal leader, please come, and there'll be free food, and Greg and Will have a great program put together. Do you want to say a word for a minute about it? Okay.
So we'll have a number of speakers talking about efficiency initiatives that municipalities can take, funding strategies. We'll be addressing solar energy implementation, funding for solar energy. There'll be some environmental conversations. It'll be starting at 5:30 at Cranberry Highlands Golf Club. And we find it, we had another one out in Forest Hills. Found it to be very informational, the response, the feedback. People really enjoyed what we shared. So please, community leaders, everyone, come and join.
Great, thank you. That's next Thursday. And then the following Thursday, which Henry has already spoken about, but June 6th at the Adams Ridge Clubhouse is the homeowner solar co-op information session. So I hope to be seeing more of you in the next couple weeks. So enjoy the happy hour. And thank you, Joanne. I want to thank Joanne. Joanne is a wonderful force here. She really saw this through and continues to see it through.